Texans training camp presented by Xfinity is beginning Wednesday, July 23rd.
Okay.
The 7 training camp practices will be free and open to all fans.
Okay, so go ahead and
I'll say it slowly so you can
write it down.
Write it down in your mind's eye.
All right.
Or remember it in your mind's eye or write it down. Saturday, July 26th, Monday, July 28th, Tuesday, July 29th, Wednesday, July 30th, Friday, August 1st, Saturday, August 7th, and Thursday, August 14th. Open training camp practices. Now, here's a couple.
Okay, so it's 1 week straight of open training camp practices from the 26th to the 1st of August, and then, or 2nd of August. So that 1 week, as obviously Sunday being an off day, and then Thursday of the 14th is also practice.
Right, and then there's this, which is interesting. You know, I've often believed that D'Amico Ryans really enjoys getting away and practicing, elsewhere, get the team together, the bonding, the unity, all that stuff. Once again, first time since Deshaun Watson's rookie season, if I remember
is that the framework that we needed to use
Well,
here?
I remember.
You couldn't just use the year, huh?
I remembered being there, watching this kid, thinking, it's pretty good.
Yeah, because y'all actually traveled there.
Yeah, we
y'all
traveled
did the
there.
show from there.
We did the show from there. Yes, we did. So buried the lead a little bit, but the team is going to travel for 4 off-site training camp practices at the Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, August 4th through the 7th. That's right ahead of their game against the Minnesota Vikings. And then they're going to also travel to Detroit, Michigan for a joint practice before their preseason game against the Lions. One more note here. Joint practice with the Carolina Panthers is going to take place on Thursday, August 14th in Houston. So
so that's the 14th, and that one is, again, open. So it's the joint practice with the Panthers, which joint practices are super, super useful.
Love them. So 7 training camp practices open. They start July 23rd. They're going to West Virginia August 4th through the 7th for 4 practices. Then they're going to Detroit for a joint practice, and then they're going to have a joint practice against the Panthers here on August 14th. Biggest
portion within that news that you rolled out, obviously, about the Texans training camp. Which one, if you had to create the hierarchy there? Because I think there's one, but I wonder if it actually matters as much considering how this Texans team is situated.
Well, Janice, some follows this team for years. The joint practices, all of them to me are kind of in a tie for first. But then, obviously we're going to be out there broadcasting at training camp from the very beginning, so you can catch, and we get players right off the field. I'm sure we'll get them again this year, so you can stay plugged in with Sports Radio 610. But also, the West Virginia thing is going to be big for this squad. 4 days. They stay there. There's a big hotel. It's a little cooler.
Just a little.
It can be a lot cooler. Yeah.
Although right now that area of the country, I don't know if West Virginia's quite hitting it.
But it's up in the mountains a little bit, or the hills.
The mountains ain't no joke. Man.
Yeah, they're no joke at all.
Don't go over there in the wintertime.
So it's a little cooler, and that's August. So that one would be up there as well.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I always find it interesting, the teams that go away, because you are in this, like, it's out of town trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a dorm experience. You have to kind of room with people. You're not just at the house that you normally are. You're not going about your normal things outside of, like, everything is kind of work. It is a work trip in all sense of the word, which forces you to come together. And I think you see the reason why I'm going, okay, how big of a deal is that? Because this Texans team is as together as a football team really often is. Like, I don't know that you often will see a football team as cohesive, as much of a singular unit at times as this Texans team is. Maybe the place that I look at is the offense in particular, and maybe the offensive line, especially finding a level of cohesion with time together. But it feels like this team has done a good job of trying to create that themselves in the time where you were not mandated, and coming and working together and running routes together and throwing the ball and those types of things. So I think obviously it can only serve to help, but it feels like it might not be as important for me getting the opportunity to have, as you mentioned, the joint practices, especially the one against the Panthers here. But yeah, the opportunity to get against some of these teams and work out some of those things that I would argue, and I wonder how you feel, that the joint practices matter more than the preseason games.
I've always said that
for your team, because you can drill down specifically on, well, run this play back, and we want to do this in particular, and we want to test this weakness of the defense and this weakness of the offensive line.
I want to see that again.
Yes,
you can do that.
Yes, and so I think that's what I'm most looking forward to. And we knew that these joint practices were coming, but now we know we have dates, and we know especially that they'll be open. At least the Carolina Panthers one will be open to the public.
And there's a reason that even, if we just personalize it to our own lives, no matter what business you're in, including our trip to the Super Bowl, there's a reason that you do these trips together, because they do build a certain something for that team, whether it's your accounts payable team or your on-air team or whatever.
I'm interested. You brought up accounts payable, and this is just a very clear indication that I ain't never really had an office job in my life. Do they be doing that in them jobs? Well, I guess if you go to a conference, right? It's the out of town conference where y'all go, but
heck, my wife's going to a conference in October. She just told me about school directors. School directors and your staff going to a conference in Arizona. There's a reason.
There's always a conference in Arizona.
Because, look, when you're trying to do the conference, yes, we got to get together to talk about this work stuff, but also they be like, so where can we go to have fun? Right? I imagine that one in particular, Arizona, is whoever directed that one or put together was like, all right, so let's make sure to close up by 5. Or maybe, you know what? Let's get out by 3. I can hit a tea time, get one round of golf in. Or
now, you can't do that at the Greenbrier. I don't know about the, quote, fun part. It's kind of hard to get to, but you can play golf at the Greenbrier. You can gamble. There's a casino there. And there that type
you see his eyes light up when he said that?
I had some fun in that casino.
You can gamble there.
I had some fun in that casino. I actually played a little dice with no, they just walked by. They didn't play with Cal and Hannah. When they were in the casino there that one night.
See how that story he almost lied real quick. He's like, wait, let me not.
But there's a reason. There's a reason people do these things together, because they work, they bond, or maybe they even splinter. You never know. But in this case, the Texans, 4 days, 5 days in West Virginia, you got to feel that's going to help.
Oh, is that pressure creates diamonds and burst pipes? Is that what you're doing there?
Yeah.
Okay.